Everything begins in the middle of a sinister storm, where the seawater violently churns. In that moment, a man leaps with his sword toward a colossal beast covered in a reddish aura. Using the momentum, he strikes the adversary with everything he has using several glowing talismans. Upon impact, the creature is engulfed by intense lightning and lets out a roar of agony. One of the attacks lands perfectly and shatters a vital part of the monster into pieces. Covered in battle marks, the warrior laughs at the situation, finding it unbelievable. The beast, already falling, reflects that it never imagined laughing at a time like this and wonders if that man is truly human for managing to win. It then remembers that it was only 1 year of cultivation away from managing to transform into a full dragon. It would have achieved this glorious form even before its official ascension. After all, it lived as a spiritual creature for 999 years at the bottom of those waters. It becomes outraged upon realizing that the humans brought talismans made specifically to vanquish divine beasts. Without understanding a thing, it questions the reason for them holding such a deep grudge against it. The MC merely calls the creature a fool while advancing for the final strike. Completely defeated on the ground, the beast asks what he really gained from all that destruction. But the man replies that he does not care about gains, as he merely paid the debt he owed to his benefactor. Looking up at the rainy sky, the warrior wonders if everything is finally over. Suddenly, a red eye glows in the darkness, calling out an unknown name. The soul of the monster roars furiously, asking who that voice is talking to. At that moment, a colossal explosion of energy completely destroys the surrounding scenery. The spirit laments ending up in such a useless way, and thinks its destiny was merely to fade into the void. However, it begins to hear the rhythmic sound of heartbeats echoing in the dark. Gradually, it regains consciousness and wonders if somehow it is still around. Feeling the heart beating, it notices that the energy of its core has vanished, but there is still physical strength left in the body. Floating in that dark immensity, it tries to figure out where it is, and if it has been trapped between walls. Full of anger, it warns that its body will never submit just because its power was sealed. Using all the strength it has left, it breaks the dark barrier with a massive impact. It falls exhausted onto a bright floor and takes a deep breath while recovering from the enormous effort. Trying to move, it realizes it is completely out of energy, unable even to stand up. Looking around, it is shocked by the size of the Golden Hall and tries to figure out what bizarre place that is. It soon notices that the entire environment is stuffed with incredibly rare treasures everywhere. Walking on the gold, the creature wonders who could be the owner capable of gathering so much wealth. Just ahead, it spots a dark memorial stone among the offerings with something written on it. The message speaks of a child who never saw the light of the world and a painful farewell to a distant place. Wishing eternal happiness, it becomes clear that it is a resting place made especially for a little one. Shocked, it deduces that this entire sanctuary was built to raise a baby safely. Thinking of showing respect, it considers reciting a mantra for the soul of the child. But it ends up squeezing its own cheek by accident and feels an extremely soft texture. Confused, it finds the shape of its own face strange and does not understand what happened. Looking at its own hands, it falls into despair seeing that its arms are tiny and chubby. Next, it pats its belly and realizes it is completely plump. Analyzing its entire body, it cannot understand how it ended up transformed like that. It screams internally in panic upon realizing it shrank and turned into a cute little furball. Shaking its head non-stop, it refuses to accept that this pathetic little thing is its new form. It eventually accepts the harsh reality that it went through that process humans call reincarnation. Letting out a tired sigh, it admits that it still understands almost nothing of what is happening there. Not to waste time, it decides to focus on what it can do now and look for something useful in the middle of all that gold. It bumps into a sacred sword full of supernatural energy and finds the owner's taste quite peculiar. Soon it finds a cursed shield that turns anyone who looks at it into stone, considering the trap way too cliché. It kicks a flask that causes eternal hunger and comments on how these curses are way too classic. It evaluates a potion that trades one's voice for legs and thinks that cannot even be considered a real punishment. It is intrigued by the amount of obscure items in such a bright environment and deduces they tried to seal the place. Attracted by the glow, it notices a reddish precious stone tossed nearby and goes to take a look. Looking at the top of the gold pile, it wonders if the gem ended up rolling down from up there. High above, it spots a glowing chest that completely catches its attention. It realizes it will have to climb a literal mountain of treasures to reach the prize. It does a little jump of joy, celebrating that it finally hit the jackpot in that strange place. The little creature discovers that the purple stone is not only valuable, but possesses an absurd power equal to a spiritual weapon. Holding the gem, it feels a dark energy very similar to the one it possessed in its past life. Enchanted by the discovery, she decides right then and there that this item must be hers. She tries to rip the crystal from its stand with all her might, complaining that the decoration is getting in the way of the process. She finally notices that the piece started to loosen up while she kept pulling non-stop. With her short little paws, she keeps rocking the object from side to side trying to pop it free. Using an absurd amount of strength, she gets frustrated because the crystal simply refuses to come out of the socket. Grinding her teeth, she uses every last drop of energy, promising herself it is almost there. The gem pops out all at once, catching the little one by surprise and making her lose her balance backward. Plummeting from up high, she clutches the crystal to her chest, ensuring she won't let go no matter what. Unable to hit the brakes, she tumbles clumsily down the mountain, bumping into the gold coins. Lying on the floor, she complains about the pain and grumbles that a fall like this would not have even tickled her old body. Relieved to have saved the treasure, she suddenly freezes upon feeling a terrifying presence. A storm of fierce blue lightning begins to wreck the golden hall without any warning. Trembling with fear, the little creature cannot understand where such a crushing spiritual pressure is coming from. Watching the space distort, she realizes an incredibly strong entity is crossing over to that world. She tenses up, assuming that not even with her original strength would she be sure she could defeat this enemy. Even so, she refuses to back down and asserts her pride as the great divine beast of the Black Dragon. With that, a giant vortex of blue energy completely opens up before her, revealing the mysterious invader. A massive flash of magic lights up the room. Right after, a huge blue eye opens in the light. A gigantic golden dragon majestically appears before the little creature. Outraged, the MC thinks the invader is trying to intimidate her using its aura. Focused, she promises herself she is not going to lose this clash. She then releases all her dark energy and tries to let out a threatening roar. But the golden dragon just looks down, looking surprised. Instead of a roar, the little creature ends up letting out a cute sneeze and is entirely embarrassed. Realizing the situation, the invader notices it is just a harmless little. Bringing her huge snout closer, she comments that the little girl is scared. Trembling with panic, the MC thinks this is her end. At that, the dragon warns that there is no reason to be afraid. Taking the form of a human woman, she holds the little creature and asks if this is better. Surprised, the little one hears the stranger introduce herself as Christina. Worried, the woman sits on the gold and asks if the baby has eaten yet. The MC ignores the question, remembering that in the past she could go 1 month without eating. However, her stomach growls loudly and Christina lets out a little laugh. Totally embarrassed, the little creature starts running back and forth. The rumbling of her belly simply will not stop echoing. Noticing the baby's instinct spoke louder, the woman decides to fix this. Quickly, she uses magic to grab a baby bottle while the little one watches in confusion. Carefully, Christina shakes the container to prepare the meal. A few drops trickle down the nipple. Catching the scent in the air, the MC sniffs curiously. She immediately realizes it is milk and starts drooling with desire. Anxious, she gulps, trying to control herself. She is in a huge dilemma over whether or not she should accept food from that stranger. She ends up backing away a bit, overcome by hesitation. Seeing this, the woman pulls the bottle away, saying she will not force it if she does not want it. Desperate at the loss, the little creature jumps to grab the milk right away. She grabs the bottle with all her might and starts drinking eagerly. Watching the scene, Christina comments on how the little one was starving. Sucking the liquid, the little one tries to convince herself it is just plain milk. But she soon surrenders to the wonderful taste and drinks it all in awe. The woman asks if it is yummy, leaving the MC slightly embarrassed. With a friendly gesture, Christina invites the little one to leave with her. She extends her hand, waiting for the little creature's response. She guarantees that in the outside world there are even tastier and more fun things. Surprised by the invitation, the little one processes the offer of company. Evaluating the situation, she deduces the woman is not a threat and there is only useless gold there. She also thinks her current body is too fragile to survive without a guardian. Grabbing her purple gem, she tries to lie to herself that the decision is not because of the milk. Determined, she walks calmly toward her new protector. The woman receives the baby in her hands, welcoming her. Hugging the little one to her chest, she gives thanks that she was born and kept on going. Confused, the little creature finds it weird to be valued just for existing. Despite this, she feels the affection is nice, even knowing the love was not meant for her. She concludes the original soul of that tiny body must have faded a long time ago. At that, she lifts her precious stone toward the woman's face. Christina asks curiously if that is a gift or if she should keep it for herself. To cheer up her new guardian, the MC rubs her face against her, showing affection. Melting at the cuteness, the woman hugs the little one, enchanted by the gesture. Then the two walk out of the hall, sealing their new partnership. Internally, the ex-divine beast thanks the child for leaving that body behind. Looking at the resting place on the gold, she wishes the true owner finds peace. Focused on her future, she promises that this time she will not fade away in such a useless manner. With a sharp gaze, she swears to use everything within her reach to become untouchable. A while later, the little one appears lying on a luxurious bed full of jewels. Gradually, she opens her eyes, waking up from her deep sleep. Stretching her chubby little body, she lets out a long yawn to start the day. One whole month has passed, and she sits on the bed to do her morning meditation. She remembers that in the beginning it was hard to adapt, but now she controls her new form. Easily, she manages to gather energy straight into her heart without needing breathing techniques. She even thought this was weird, until she saw Christina using magic and realized it was the norm there. Thanks to this, the MC focuses only on cultivating energy in her lower core. She notices the entire environment overflows with an extremely pure flow of mana. Since she is a newborn cub with no impurities, the absorption process is perfect. However annoyed, she admits there is one thing completely ruining her peace. A yellowish light spirit keeps flying around her face non-stop. Staring at the fairy, she calls the magical being a weird watchdog. She gets indignant, wondering if that creature even needs to sleep. Christina summoned the spirit purely out of worry about leaving the baby. But because of this magical babysitter, the little one cannot do any heavy physical training. Whenever she tries to leave the room to explore the hallways by herself, the worst happens. The spirit snitches on everything to the guardian, who comes running desperately to protect her. Despite the issues, the little creature notices her internal energy keeps growing non-stop. Evaluating her current level, she thinks the time has finally come to test a new skill. Focused, the MC activates the magic circle on the floor to use her teleportation magic. However, the fairy bumps into her, and the little one concludes it is too early to try this before dealing with this annoying watchdog. Annoyed with the situation, the ex-divine beast decides she needs to quickly find a way to nullify that spirit. To make matters worse, she grumbles that she still suffers from a severe pronunciation issue due to her mouth structure. Accepting the fact, she understands it will be hard to fix this until her new little body fully grows. While the fairy rubs its face against hers, the MC is utterly embarrassed, asking the bug to stop mimicking her. Suddenly, the little one feels a familiar and very powerful flow of mana approaching the place. At that, Christina appears through a magic portal and asks if the baby behaved well during her absence. Excited by the visit, the little creature runs toward the woman, thinking the food time has finally arrived. The guardian hugs the baby, praising the welcome, ignoring that the little one was only there for the meal. Offering a piece of meat, the woman wonders if the baby's teeth have grown enough to chew. The MC shakes her head, refusing the food, making Christina praise the baby's intelligence and comprehension. Full of herself, the little one internally remembers that this cleverness comes from her soul as a divine beast of almost 1,000 years. Watching the woman sit on the floor, the MC is relieved to see her acting is working perfectly. Soon she extends her little paws asking for milk, but Christina thinks the baby is just being cute and wants a hug. Being squeezed against the guardian's chest, the little creature accepts the situation, knowing she needs to keep that woman's favor. Looking down, the caretaker shows immense charm for the little being in her arms. Lifting the baby in the air, Christina states with absolute certainty that she is the cutest little one in the whole world. At that, the woman finally snaps out of it and realizes she completely forgot about mealtime. Quickly, she grabs the bottle, claiming it is the baby's favorite milk, who agrees excitedly with the food. Sucking the milk eagerly, the ex-divine beast admits this taste is the only reason she stoops to acting so adorable. While enjoying every drop of her meal with sparkling eyes, she pays attention to the environment. As usual, the guardian sits right beside her and starts talking non-stop about how her day went. The little one remembers she never liked hearing others talk in her past life, since she was a solitary being with no friends. However, she realizes the woman is just venting and opening her heart sincerely. Hearing those stories, the MC notices Christina's expression gets much more relaxed and calm. Thanks to all this chit-chat, the baby learned the language and managed to gather lots of useful information about that new world. At that moment, the woman interrupts the story and gets the baby's attention with a more direct tone. Checking if the milk is all gone, the little creature prepares herself mentally, knowing all that hospitality comes with a price. Totally enchanted, the guardian asks the baby to do something cute as a way of thanking her for the meal. Looking at the empty bottle, the ex-divine beast laments having lived 1,000 years only to end up acting like a fool for some milk. With no alternative, she lifts her little paw and lets out a charming noise, while screaming with hatred internally. Despite the embarrassment, the MC justifies to herself that it is only logical to return a favor received. The woman absolutely melts, squeezing the baby tightly, leaving the little one relieved to have played her part. With the caretaker rubbing her face on her belly, the creature accepts she cannot act rudely with her savior. Receiving an affectionate head pat, she hears Christina wish that this smart baby has a wonderful and happy life. Touched by the sincerity in her words, the ex-divine beast has no other choice but to acknowledge that genuine feeling. She concludes her guardian is an extremely kind and warm person, something evident in every action and word. Since she never received so much affection before, the little one walks through the halls trying to figure out the best way to return this warmth. In that, an old memory comes to mind, recalling someone from the past who said very similar things about feelings. In the memory, a fox girl questioned the reason the warrior stayed isolated, training just to manage to ascend. The old warrior stays silent upon hearing the young girl ask if he was truly happy living that focused way. Annoyed by the lack of response, the fox calls him an idiot, while he merely answers that their paths are different. The girl retorts right away, stating that this is exactly why he is a hopeless idiot. Staring at her companion seriously, she asks directly if he has ever felt what true happiness is. Without backing down, the young girl claims he has no idea what it feels like to be truly adored and loved by someone. The warrior replies coldly that he has no room in his heart for trivial feelings, since his only focus is to become a dragon. With that, he points out that she is also about to become a celestial fox, and yet remains attached to these silly bounds. Surprising the warrior, the girl reveals with conviction that she abandoned her ascension because she decided to transform into a human. Totally calm, the fox agrees that her sudden choice really makes no logical sense. With teary eyes, she confesses that she fell in love with a man who accepted her even knowing her true nature. Walking slowly, the young girl explains it is natural to want to return the feelings of someone who loves her with such intensity. Walking past the warrior, she sincerely wishes that one day he will also manage to understand the weight and beauty of that affection. In a joking tone, the fox teases, saying he is so clueless he wouldn't even notice if he found the love of his life. The warrior just warns that the transformation will prevent her from coming back, but decides not to ruin her joy out of respect. Deep down, he admits he developed a fondness for her and wishes the girl has a good life, receiving all the love she always sought. Seeing her friend's gentle expression, the young fox is totally confused, not understanding the reason for such a kind look. Quickly, he looks away, demanding she speak properly and stop mumbling, trying to hide his own vulnerability. The girl runs away and lets out one last shout, wishing her idiot friend a good life being stubborn like that. The warrior watches her leave, complaining that he was called dumb exactly when he tried to be nice for the first time. Even from afar, the young girl turns her radiant face and sincerely thanks him for all the time they spent together. Back to the present, the little creature walks determinedly, finally understanding what the fox meant about returning affection. At that, Christina enters the hall asking if the baby waited patiently during her short absence. The woman freezes in surprise upon seeing the baby standing on two paws, exactly the plan the little one created to please her guardian. Showing off her growth, the ex-divine beast takes her clumsy first little step, leaving the caretaker completely shocked. Full of herself, the MC thinks she has now proven to be independent enough for the woman to get rid of that annoying fairy. Suddenly, the little one panics upon hearing Christina's voice trembling with emotion and thinks she made the guardian cry. Without warning, the woman charges forward and grabs the baby in a crushing and intense hug. Lifting the baby in the air, Christina cries rivers of happy tears, not knowing how to handle so much accumulated cuteness. After the freakout, the woman puts the baby on the floor and starts digging in her bag, remembering she brought a special gift. Curious about the movement in the bag, the little creature watches closely, trying to guess if the surprise is some kind of food. Upon hearing it is soft food for her sensitive gums, the MC's eyes widen, paying close attention. With great excitement, Christina pulls a huge magic egg out of the bag and reveals that it is nothing less than a phoenix. Picking up where we left off, the guardian reveals that the surprise inside the bag is a phoenix egg. The magic item emits a warm and flashy glow. The little creature remembers this is the famous immortal bird of reincarnation, finding the legend quite similar to that of the vermilion bird. However, she finds the situation weird, noting that the original beast never hatched from an egg. Without thinking twice, the MC moves excitedly toward the back. Using her little paws, she easily pulls the mysterious item out from inside. The egg is almost her size, but the ex-divine beast holds it firmly. Immediately, she takes a bite with all her might while Christina panics. Successfully, the shell breaks, revealing a bright and appetizing yolk. Wasting no time, the little one chomps down on the soft inside eagerly. Her eyes sparkle with happiness upon realizing the taste is incredibly wonderful. Relieved, the woman is glad she liked the special delicacy roasted in the flame of a red dragon. Devouring the food, the MC notices the meal carries a slight fire mana. At that, Christina offers a bottle, advising the baby to eat slowly and drink along with it. Sucking hurriedly, the little one hears the guardian warn that it is always good to be careful not to get sick. Completely amazed, the little dragon focuses on the soft texture going down her throat easily. Right after, she shifts her attention, wanting to find out what the next target is. While rummaging through the bag, the little creature notices a different egg, very hard and with a reddish tone. Since the bag is full of normal options, she decides to leave this weird one to eat later. A while later, the MC falls flat on her back on the floor, completely full. Finding it funny, Christina pets the baby and promises to bring even more snacks. Advising the little one to rest, the guardian says she is stepping out real quick to fetch the food. Giving a long yawn, the little one admits she overdid it and will need some time to digest. With her eyes getting heavy, she eventually gives in to the inevitable sleep. Settled in a cozy basket, the ex-divine beast takes a deep and peaceful nap. Suddenly, the baby's ears twitch as she catches a sound in the environment. Quickly, the MC opens her eyes, waking up from her rest. Giving a nice stretch, she leans on the edges of the little bed to get up. Still a bit groggy, she wonders how long she ended up passing out like that. Looking around, she realizes she is alone and something unusual catches her eye. Surprised, the little one notices the basket is full and deduces the caretaker stopped by while she was sleeping. Licking her lips, the ex-divine beast tries to convince herself she can eat just a little bit more. Feeling no guilt, she spreads her little wings, thinking an extra snack won't hurt. Flying toward the food, she justifies to herself that she just needs to absorb the fire mana. With precision, the little creature lands right on top of her next meal. However, a chill runs through her body upon feeling the weird texture. Looking down, the MC recognizes the hard, reddish egg from before. Viewing the situation as a challenge, she takes advantage of being alone to deal with that obstacle. Concentrating her power in her right paw, an intense dark aura begins to form. The little one's entire body is overtaken by a brutal and frightening energy. With a fierce leap, she launches a direct strike against the stubborn target. The impact generates an explosion of energy, scattering sparks everywhere. Shocked, the little one stares at the intact snack, not understanding how it held up. Bouncing backward, she gets indignant upon seeing the strike didn't leave a single scratch on the shell. Landing on her feet on the rug, the creature prepares to completely change her strategy. Accepting the difficulty of the task, the MC swears she is not going to give up that easily. Boiling with stubbornness, the little one gathers an absurd amount of magic to break that snack. Floating in the air, the ex-divine beast decides to use all the strength left in her body. With a powerful roar, the colossal soul of the black dragon manifests behind the baby. Without mercy, she fires a gigantic energy beam straight into the center of that indestructible. Completely out of breath on the floor, the little creature wonders if the overwhelming attack worked. Celebrating the victory, she boasts upon seeing the cracked shell, praising her own absolute power. Reaching out her little paw anxiously, she prepares to discover the taste of that great challenge. But suddenly the shell breaks entirely and she backs away startled. A fluffy white little ball jumps out from the debris, landing on the rug. With wide eyes, the ex-divine beast freezes, trying to process what that is. Instead of a juicy yolk, a chubby little bird stares at the MC, letting out an innocent. Completely lost, the little dragon questions where a bird came from in her food. Ignoring the tension, the new creature just does a little hop, repeating its high-pitched sound. Sweating cold with confusion, the little one refuses to accept the situation because she was absolutely certain it was a roasted egg. Suspicious, the MC sniffs the little animal, noticing an incredibly familiar odor. It clicks in the little dragon's mind as she understands the terrifying truth. Looking closer, she realizes the newborn is overflowing with a mix of fire, magic, and her own dark power. Remembering the overwhelming attack, she concludes the egg absorbed all the generated energy. Pointing in outrage, the little one throws herself on the floor, realizing her mana was stolen. Frustrated with the waste, she watches the white ball bounce happily toward her. Crying tears of anger, the MC cannot understand a single word of the little bird's weird peeps. Lying on the rug, the ex-divine beast wonders why the animal acts so affectionately. Feeling the newborn rub against her face, she questions if phoenixes were always this clingy. At that moment, the little dragon freezes upon remembering a vital detail of nature. Terrified, she brings up the hypothesis of having triggered the imprinting instinct, where the bird thinks she is the mother. Trying to keep calm, she recalls a flying divine beast with this same annoying behavior in the past. Determined to test this for real, the little one starts running across the hall while the white ball follows. Doing quick zigzags on the rug, she confirms the animal chases her perfectly without missing a step. Crying in despair, the little dragon runs for her life, fleeing from her new unwanted child. Utterly exhausted from running so much, the little dragon flies to the bed, deciding she urgently needs to rest to recover her drained energy. While the little bird tries to flap its tiny wings down below without success, she teases, asking if the creature still cannot make it up there. Lying in comfort, the little one thinks it is good to be able to take a break and plans just to ignore the bird to think better about what just happened. Busy with her thoughts, she gradually notices the newborn's peeps are losing strength very slowly. Noticing the strange silence, the MC looks toward the edge and is surprised by the scene before her. The cute bird is bursting into tears, making the ex-divine beast panic, wondering if that animal is actually crying. Annoyed by the tantrum, she grumbles that the clueless baby has no idea of the huge magical loss it caused her. Meanwhile, Christina walks hurriedly through the palace corridors, lamenting that she returned to the room much later than planned. Holding tightly onto a basket full of warm eggs, the guardian gets quite worried, thinking her baby must already be very hungry. Very carefully, the woman opens the large door and calls for the little one in a very gentle and welcoming manner. Stepping on the shells across the rug, the caretaker deduces the baby could not wait, ended up devouring the leftover food and fell asleep. However, upon looking toward the cushioned nest, the woman lets out a long sigh of pure surprise. Seeing a white ball bouncing inside the basket, Christina is totally confused, trying to figure out where that creature came from. In the center of the bed, the little dragon sleeps deeply with the small bird nestled comfortably right on her belly. Shocked by the bird's size, the woman puts her hand to her face and brings up the hypothesis that it might be a phoenix chick. Wide awake, the little white bird stares at the newly arrived guardian with its little eyes full of curiosity. The baby lets out a tiny peep while Christina observes the little creature closely, evaluating the situation. With a totally shocked look, the caretaker finally understands the nature of what just happened there. She concludes the egg very aggressively absorbed the dense mana that lingered in the environment at the exact moment of birth. Evaluating the animal, she notes it is absurd for a newborn to withstand the mix of pure fire magic with the dark power of a dragon. The woman remembers how phoenixes are sacred birds that travel freely, bridging the gap to the immaculate garden of the gods. Seeing such a divine being born to protect the last black dragon in the world seems like proof that everything is the work of destiny. Sitting on the floor, the woman finds it complicated for the bird to avoid her touch, but understands she should not forcefully suppress such a young being. Suddenly, the bird lifts its short little wings and bristles up, trying to defend its own space against the stranger. Waking up from the long nap, the little one gets up while the guardian asks the bird to be very calm with the savior. Still groggy from sleep, the MC stares at the baby bird, baffled, asking the reason a bird came out of her roasted snack. While the bird rubs against her, the caretaker raises the theory that it might have been born as the official sacred phoenix of this new era. Thoughtful, Christina details that the natural cycle dictates a new immortal bird must be born within 100 years after the death of the previous one. The little one listens to it all while the woman finds the situation bizarre, since the phoenix of this current generation should still be around somewhere. Standing in the room, the guardian speculates if the world suffered some anomaly to force the emergence of a dark guardian phoenix. To ensure safety, the woman summons the yellow spirit, stating that this premature birth requires a lot of caution. She decides to meet Elder Fasces of the Red Dragons to ask for advice, since he has authority over fire and is raising a child. At that, the caretaker hands the little glowing fairy to the MC, asking her just to trust the magical watchdog. Excited by the movement, the baby raises her little arms while Christina asks if she can really stay safe there. Celebrating deep in her soul, the ex-divine beast thrills with happiness, realizing the guardian's departure guarantees her precious free time. Seeing the excitement, the woman admits some worry about leaving them alone, but trusts that deep down no disaster will happen. The caretaker notices the baby is not only precocious, appearing to already possess her own mature and independent worldview. She recalls the little one's incredible ability to handle mana, something almost impossible since babies usually use power chaotically. Evaluating this feat, she confirms the child manipulates skills in a complex and flawless manner, exactly as she intends to. With eyes full of admiration, Christina smiles, admitting that since their first meeting she suspected the little one's genius. A vague memory returns, showing the hooded figure and the harsh question about whether the baby had undergone any intentional alteration. Pushing the old thoughts aside, the woman accepts that the baby's origin or nature changes nothing about her devotion. Very proud, she assures she will continue being her official protector and says goodbye, promising to sort the matter out very quickly. Waving happily from the bed, the creature agrees with her leaving and soon recalls valuable information heard earlier. The MC remembers an old rumor going around about Elder Fasces' young son being a true prodigy warrior. Focused on this revelation, she believes having contact with such a talented boy could be a great help. Christina's voice keeps echoing, cheerfully suggesting the possibility of these two brilliant minds becoming great friends. Back to the reality of the palace, the woman instructs the flying spirit to send a call right away in case any emergency happens. Leaning her body over the mattress, the caretaker directly instructs the baby to obey the glowing watchdog without leaving its side. In absolute silence, the woman stares into the little one's eyes, who does not understand the delay and wonders what is keeping her standing there. Without missing a beat, Christina stretches her fingers and gives a very cute squeeze on the innocent little dragon's round cheek. Overcome by an excessive charm, the guardian grabs the baby in a super tight hug, showering her with kisses full of pure affection. Totally satisfied with the dose of love, the woman pulls away smiling and repeats that her mission will be completed as quickly as possible. With gentle steps, the caretaker walks toward the exit, leaving behind the room bathed in a flawless golden light. As soon as the heavy, large door locks, the MC's ear catches the click, and she celebrates the immediate relief of emptiness in the room. Peeking carefully over the edge of the spacious bed, the ex-divine beast looks for any slight sign confirming the woman is out of sight. Certain the coast is finally clear, she clenches her claws in pure determination, celebrating the perfect moment. Throwing her arms in the air, the little dragon jumps on the covers, leading the tiny bird in a celebration of sweet freedom. Falling on her back on the soft pillow, she grumbles that normal babies would sleep all day there, but she refuses to be that useless type. With an agile jump landing on her feet on the marble, the creature argues that so many absurd rules stopped her from carrying out her training properly. Wandering aimlessly through the open spaces, the baby evaluates that exploring the nursery wings a bit will not trigger any serious alarm. Right behind her, the white ball mimics every step and will not stop peeping, proving it is loving the new unaccompanied adventure. The fairy starts closely inspecting the newborn nicknamed Gabai, forcing the little dragon to demand the little light stop judging. With an aggressive spin, the MC stands face to face and leaves the little bird slightly pushed back after the sudden move. Determined, she moves forward, ignoring external judgments with her chest puffed out, proving she does not care about absolutely anything. Using her own forehead as a platform for the cheeky bird, she finds it much more practical to carry it than put up with disastrous stumbles. Just ahead, the adventurers come across a massive decorated door guarding the exit from the luxurious area. Standing before the golden blockade, the ex-divine beast focuses on the target, deciding that a good strategic jump should do the trick. Swaying her hips rhythmically, the little creature takes an attack stance, confirming the great time for the test has arrived. Concentrating her body to the max, the little one cuts through the wind with a booming leap aimed directly at the golden goal. Grabbing onto the cold metal with her two tiny claws, the MC supports her body weight, sighing victorious over the precise landing. However, upon using enormous strength pulling the heavy mechanism, she notices the clear resistance, ensuring the handle is properly locked. Already fallen on the polished floor, the little dragon spots the calm posture of the yellow fairy and realizes she only got peace thanks to the safety of the door. Completely wrapping her closed fist in dense dark magic, the baby mocks the adults, thinking they are dealing with a harmless creature. This powerful mana surges forward, fully infiltrating the heavy golden lock, easily obliterating all the mechanical armor of the system. With the lock destroyed, the heavy golden door finally swings wide open. Passing through the doorframe, the MC focuses on the yellow fairy, wanting to see its reaction. She gets worried, thinking the magical watchdog is going to alert Christina about the escape. But the little light just floats closer, leaving the little dragon quite surprised. The babysitter bobs its body up and down, giving permission for the stroll. Confused by the attitude, the ex-divine beast does not understand this sudden help from the spirit. Accepting the advantage, the little one takes the first step and decides to move forward with her plan. Soon, the little creature focuses her gaze, full of determination to explore the unknown. Admiring the vastness of the stone corridor, she notes that the place is gigantic. With the fairy by her side, the MC understands the real reason for so much overprotection. She realizes the adults think it is impossible for a baby to get very far walking around there. Walking slowly, the baby admits she will barely be able to explore anything at this pace. Giving a confident smile, she celebrates having prepared exactly for a situation like this. She remembers the flow of magic Christina used and reveals she memorized every detail. Surrounded by magic rays, the little dragon casts the powerful teleportation technique. The little one feels all the mana in the lair answering her commands perfectly. Celebrating the success, the ex-divine beast already starts thinking about where she should go. Looking back, she mocks, knowing the fairy has no way to warn the guardian in time. At that, the little bird tries to catch up with her, but the baby declares the animal is too late. A large glowing circle forms on the floor, fully activating the teleportation. The very next second, the little dragon appears floating high in the sky surrounded by mountains. Evaluating the lush landscape, the MC confirms the outside is just as she imagined. Enchanted by the view, she realizes this world is entirely different from her past life. Suddenly, gravity kicks in and the little creature begins to plummet in a free fall. The bird flaps its little wings trying to help, making the baby thank it for the useless effort. Unable to hit the brakes, the trio hits the forest ground, making quite an impact on the dirt. Fallen face first on the floor, the little one grumbles that she did not have time to open her own wings. The little yellow light trembles in despair, leaving the MC confused by so much panic. Sitting on the grass, the ex-divine beast remembers Christina used the magic with ease. Thoughtful, the little dragon starts connecting the dots about the restricted use of teleportation. The baby deduces the caretaker would not leave just a weak watchdog if she were a threat. Looking at the crater on the ground, the little creature wonders if she can fix the mess. She thinks the guardian made the spell look simple, questioning the reason for such shock. With her ears down, the MC concludes normal babies do not know how to teleport. Seeing the magic spirit trembling with fear, the little one understands the gravity of her action. Trying to smooth things over, the little dragon asks if the watchdog still has everything under control. Without receiving an answer, the ex-divine beast lets out a heavy sigh of frustration. She immediately remembers she ended up using a lot of energy and has no way to hide the tracks. So as not to freak out, the little one decides to ignore the problem and notices the bird's silence. Petting the white bird, the MC tries to focus only on the current moment. Determined, the creature runs into the woods, stating she needs to figure out where she ended up. Exploring the colorful forest, the trio finds several magical insects walking on the ground. Reaching the edge of a crystalline stream, the baby curiously watches the fish swimming. Keeping a fast pace, the little one crosses a log bridge over the shallow waters. Climbing to the top of a cliff, the little dragon finally gets a privileged view. The MC emerges from the foliage after climbing a very tall tree. Right behind, the white bird also shows up, squeezing through the green branches. The baby scans the horizon and soon identifies the exact place where her guardian's lair is located. In the distance, an entire mountain is protected by a huge glowing dome of energy. Observing the fascinating structure, the little creature discovers the true form of the refuge. She notes that a colossal amount of mana wraps the location, merging the building with the earth. Satisfied with scouting the area, the MC states she has seen everything she needed. Jumping from the branches straight to solid ground, the ex-divine beast decides to begin the way back. The fairy floats relieved, while the baby grumbles that she messed up the spell but maintained her posture. Walking full of herself, the little dragon plans to use the escape to her advantage by showing off her talent. She thinks displaying wisdom by returning alone will draw many praises from the caretaker. Imagining the scene, the little one fantasizes about Christina proudly showering her with treats. With the bird on her head, the MC focuses on acting naturally to avoid raising suspicion. Strolling peacefully through the bright woods, she hopes the plan is a success. Suddenly, the little dragon stops walking and sniffs the air, intrigued by a very peculiar smell. Lured by the irresistible aroma, the creature entirely changes routes and runs across the field. With her eyes sparkling with pure excitement, the MC recognizes the source of that scent. Running through the middle of the low bushes, she celebrates her great discovery. A beautiful plant with reddish seeds sprouts up isolated right in the center of a clearing. Amazed, the baby admires the wild ginseng and notices the absurd energy of that sacred item. Drooling with desire, the ex-divine beast calculates how much magical power she will recover with that. Without thinking twice, the little creature reaches out her paw, ready to devour the extremely rare delicacy. However, the yellow fairy gets right in front, blocking access and annoying the little. The protector spirit pushes the MC's hand hard to keep her away from danger. Totally outraged, the little dragon grinds her teeth, cursing the meddling watchdog. Forcing her way through with her head, the baby grumbles, complaining about the stubbornness of that babysitter. At that moment, the white bird takes a firm stance, staring down the little light. With a fierce headbutt, the bird knocks the fairy away, making the little one very proud. Taking advantage of the perfect opening, the ex-divine beast quickly steps forward to grab her prize. Swallowing the plant with difficulty, the creature struggles to eat it all before being stopped. Swallowing the plant with difficulty, the creature struggles to eat it all at once. Believing she secured her victory, the little one relaxes, thinking she has everything under control. With great eagerness, she chews the root, savoring her supposed divine prize. But suddenly, an extreme pain hits her body and an agonizing scream escapes. The herb's crushing power reacts violently inside her fragile core. Unable to withstand the energy, the little dragon chokes and ends up spitting a dark aura onto the floor. Totally weak, the baby collapses on the grass while the little bird panics. Realizing the fatal mistake, the ex-divine beast understands she was wrong and feels her consciousness fading. The yellow fairy begins to glow crazily, making the MC regret the company. At that, a whirlwind of green magic quickly wraps the little one's fallen body. Calm footsteps approach, breaking the tension of the surrounding forest. This mysterious energy forms a protective barrier over the little dragon. The glowing spirit and the bird go on alert with the sudden arrival. A hooded figure emerges through the trees, controlling the magical healing flow. Holding the rest of the plant in his hand, the stranger evaluates the gravity of the situation. Assessing the damage, the mysterious individual uses his power on the remaining root. Easily, the magic extracts a small healing fruit that was hidden in the stem. Carefully, the green energy guides the seed straight into the passed-out baby's mouth. The fruit slips down her throat to stabilize the little one's internal chaos. Immediately, a healing aura restores the balance of the weakened body. Gradually, the ex-divine beast regains consciousness without understanding the rescue. With blurry vision, she notices the figure walking away and wonders who it could be. However, the exhaustion is absurd, and the MC realizes her strength is depleted. The little bird runs toward the little one, relieved that she is safe. The fairy and the bird make a ruckus, but the little dragon begs for a second of peace. Utterly exhausted, she just asks them to stop crying because she needs to sleep. Meanwhile, Christina walks firmly through the grand halls of another lit. Stopping in the center of the place, the guardian greets an old acquaintance. An imposing red dragon stares at the visitor, displaying his overwhelming presence. The elder agrees that it has been quite a while since their last meeting. The woman comments on the audacity of the leader of the golden lineage. Taking on a human form, the red dragon deduces she has already accepted his proposal. The elder straightens his posture, hoping the visit is worthy of his valuable time. The guardian apologizes for the lack of manners, but he brushes off the formality. Getting straight to the point, the man brings up the birth of the newest black dragon baby. He is intrigued to note that the caretaker has not yet reported the case to the Supreme Lord. Staring at the woman, the elder questions the reason she sought his help in particular. Sincere, Christina explains that the baby is still too fragile to deal with politics. The little one needs enough time to grow and experience the natural world. Only then will the creature be able to develop her own personality without chains. Therefore, she asks him to protect the child and prevent the leadership's interference. Skeptical, the man asks if the baby is really worth all this risky effort. He mentions the absurd fact that the little one managed to hatch a brand new phoenix. The elder finds this extraordinary, since the immortal bird of this generation should still be around. Worried, he warns that the Lord would brainwash the baby if he found out everything. The elder reinforces that the Lord would eliminate the child if he considered her a real threat. Satisfied with her attitude, he notes the guardian already knew the red leader would accept the request. The woman confirms, stating she simply trusted the wisdom of the red leader's choice. The man agrees that forging ties between his own son and the heir is very advantageous. He promises to send the boy to train the baby and teach her everything about being a successor. Very relieved with the agreement, the caretaker bows, thanking him deeply. Excited about the terms, the red leader says goodbye, wrapping up the great conversation. The guardian watches him leave, already imagining the arrogant lord's fury in the future. She reflects that the tyrant will hate it when plans do not go his way. However, she knows the red elder himself will also have his surprises along the way. She remembers the fire prodigy heir has a very complicated personality. Since the boy is always fighting with his father, this forced meeting will bring unpredictable changes. With the mission complete, Christina decides to head back to the nursery as fast as possible. Worried about the baby's stomach, she is already thinking about preparing lots of milk and snacks. But a desperate magic alert echoes in her mind, stopping her in her tracks immediately. Sweating cold, the guardian understands the situation has spun completely out of control. Without wasting a single second, she stomps her foot on the ground, activating her supreme power. A flash of pure blue magic wraps her body for an immediate leap through space. Christina appears in the middle of the forest, screaming desperately for the missing little ones. The little bird rushes toward her, revealing that the baby is right there on the ground. Hugging the knocked-out little one, the woman goes into shock, asking how they escaped the nursery. Trembling with fear, the yellow fairy points to the remains of the chewed plant on the grass. The caretaker's eyes widen as she realizes the baby swallowed a whole mandrake. She gets terrified, remembering that this poisonous herb absorbs the dense mana of dragons. Looking at the little one, she finds it insane for a newborn to have eaten something centuries old. At that, a lingering scent in the air catches her attention, revealing what saved her. She recognizes the aura of the young prodigy dragon, lamenting the premature exposure of the babe. However, she lets out a sigh of relief that this unexpected intervention saved the baby's life. Squeezing the little one against her chest, the woman takes all the blame for having underestimated the situation. In the end, she is amazed by the baby's talent for using teleportation just to devour some weeds. Regaining consciousness, the baby recognizes the mysterious savior's voice and deduces that Guy is still going to cause a lot of trouble. At that, Christina shows up worried, calling for the little one and immediately asks if she is already feeling a little better. Hugging the little creature tightly, the guardian cries, apologizing and lamenting that she should have been much more careful. The ex-divine beast accepts the scare as something natural, understanding that the woman truly cares too much about her well-being. Pressed against the caretaker's chest, the little one listens to the heartbeats and apologizes inwardly for having acted alone. Totally relieved, the woman sheds intense tears for having found her precious baby safe. Kneeling on the grass with the little ones, the guardian decides it is better to head home since the baby's little body suffered a lot of damage. Already safe in the nursery, the baby relaxes enveloped by a soothing recovery magic. Evaluating her own state, the MC understands she suffered internal injuries and a magical chaos, but celebrates the fact that she is still alive. Remembering the plant she ate, she concludes that appearance or familiar smells do not matter because that is a totally different world. The little one promises to be more careful from now on, acknowledging that at least her hard training paid off. Putting the reflection off for later, the little dragon decides to focus entirely on absorbing all the energy gathered in her body. Suddenly, she hears a soft noise coming from the other side of the soft bed. Confused by the movement, the creature looks to the side, asking what that is and if she missed some important event. The little white bird shows off all proud, making the baby find it very funny and admit that bird is really a character. The MC remembers the animal would not stop crying in despair and claps her little hands, praising the calm that finally settled. Petting the bird, the guardian tries to comfort the newborn, claiming it was just a passing stomachache. Watching the scene, the baby wonders if there is really someone who suffers and rejoices for her in that sincere way. With flushed cheeks, the little one admits that even in her past life she never would have noticed how precious this kind of affection is. But suddenly, the ex-divine beast notices a strange glow and wonders what mysterious light is that appearing out of nowhere. The small bird gets closer and gently touches its beak to the little dragon's arm. The baby gulps upon feeling a totally unexpected wave of heat going down her throat. Immediately, a strong purification energy begins to circulate through her entire fragile little body. Startled by the sensation, the little creature hopes it is not exactly what she is thinking. However, the glowing force takes over her core, confirming the purifying magic is taking action. Breathing heavily, the little one tries to process this sudden change in her organism. Evaluating her own center of power, she confirms her initial theory with absolute certainty. The baby understands the water worked as an antidote to the poison, and the fire energy ended up infiltrating her core. Looking straight at the little bird, the little dragon focuses on the small companion who merely lets out an innocent peep. Rubbing her face against the bird, the MC gives in and admits this little guy is much more useful than she imagined. Later, Christina enters the room with a gentle smile and asks if the little one managed to rest well after the scare. The guardian comments that the baby already looks totally healthy, but acknowledges that the whole situation was terrifying. Picking the baby up, the woman explains the plant only caused all that harm because the little dragon is still very young. She guarantees that as soon as the baby grows a little more, eating a mandrake will not even tickle her stomach. Suddenly, the caretaker's features shift to a much more melancholic tone as she calls the little one her sweet child. Thoughtful, the woman confesses it was very hard to believe the whole story when she heard the spirit's detailed report. Besides mastering teleportation magic so early, the ability to recover from severe internal injuries left the guardian shocked. Even with healing help, the woman evaluates that this regeneration rate is unprecedented for any newborn. With a dark look, she fears what would happen if the tyrant Lord Isha found out the child is too exceptional. Noticing the tension in the air, the baby stares at the caretaker, not understanding the reason for such a heavy expression out of nowhere. The MC panics, thinking the woman suspects something, and is already planning to use the phoenix as an excuse to get off the hook. Interrupting the baby's thoughts, Christina stretches out her arms, holding the little one with great firmness and devotion. Squeezing the baby's little paws affectionately, the woman takes a deep breath and announces she has made a very important decision. Without beating around the bush, the guardian reveals she's going to cast the powerful heritage magic directly on the child. Totally caught off guard, the ex-divine beast's eyes widen, wondering what kind of crazy spell that is. The narrative details that heritage is an ancient and verbal magic, supposedly handed down by the gods to intelligent beings. This conceptual spell implants a dragon's source of knowledge, transferring all the caster's skills to the target. However, the limit of the power depends on the mind of the receiver, placing a crushing burden on a fragile newborn. The most terrifying aspect of this technique is that twisted or dangerous ideologies can also be passed down along with the power. The Guardian explains few dare to use this magic, since the conditions are incredibly rigorous and demand severe restrictions. Revealing that the spell can only be cast once in a lifetime, the woman stares into the baby's eyes and asks if she trusts her. Christina warns seriously that this process will be extremely painful and as dangerous as the power it offers. For everything to work perfectly, the little one will need to hand her life and mind entirely into the caretaker's hands. With a sad smile and looking down, the woman lets out a heavy sigh, admitting her true desire. Sincere, the guardian confesses her greatest wish was to let the baby live a normal and completely carefree childhood. The woman imagines spending her days just playing with and spoiling the baby, building simple and happy memories together. She wanted to have time to read bedtime stories, knowing there are charms that can only be experienced in youth. The little one listens to that whole venting in absolute silence, processing the weight of her savior's words. Thanks to her past life, the MC knows very well how incredibly warm and kind that consideration is. Memories of old losses come to mind, making the baby reflect that life is usually much crueler than expected. Abstract things like childhood innocence are easily crushed by the harsh priorities reality imposes. When one finally realizes the precious value of those memories, the body and spirit are already old and completely shattered. Understanding it is impossible to get lost time back, the baby accepts the guardian chose to sacrifice that piece to keep her safe. With a firm nod, the MC agrees to the ritual, thinking that enduring a little pain is the least she can do now. A few days after this agreement, the preparations for the big event are finally completed in the Grand Hall. A colossal and glowing magic circle is activated on the palace floor, emanating an impressive golden energy. With firm and decisive steps, the guardian walks toward the center of the ancestral runes to begin the process. Just watching from afar, the little dragon shudders, feeling an absurd pressure take over the entire environment. The little one is shocked by the crushing intensity of the caretaker's mana scratching her skin even from that distance. Holding the baby in her arms, Christina asks the child to stay calm and not get carried away by the nervousness of the moment. The woman closes her eyes and takes a deep breath, focusing absolutely all her vital power for the spell. Bathed in a divine light, the guardian invokes the supreme magic using her true name, Christina El Arcadia. The ex-divine beast braces herself as she hears the woman offer her own life and all her memories as a sacrifice. Extending her glowing hand, the caretaker firmly declares she will pass down her entire essence to that child. The impact of the magic hits the little one directly, forcing the baby to close her eyes to withstand the colossal charge of energy. Bracing for the imminent impact, the little dragon warns that the powerful spell is already starting. With the shock of the magic hitting her body directly, the ex-divine beast lets out a high-pitched scream of pure pain. Feeling her nerves forcefully expanding, the MC realizes a huge archive of information is being poured into her mind. Even while suffering an infernal torment, the baby decides to hang tough, swearing that all that knowledge will be entirely hers. Boiling with determination, the little creature roars with all her might, demanding the guardian hand over absolutely everything to her. Stumbling exhausted after the flash dims, the little one hears Christina's very weak voice asking if she is okay. At that, the MC collapses on the floor with no strength, and the caretaker runs desperately toward her. Hugging the little dragon's limp little body, the woman begs in panic for her precious child to wake up. Coughing very weakly because of the magical sacrifice, the guardian keeps calling for the baby with extreme worry. Slowly opening one little eye, the baby lifts her little paw and tries to comfort her savior by calling her name with great affection.